Guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp on the Limp, and I'm here with something a little different. I've actually always gotten positive responses when I put up war stories, stuff that I went through when I deployed to the sandbox. And this one, for whatever reason, came up in conversation this morning. I was talking about it with some people, and I remembered it, thought it was funny, so I was like, okay, let me record this one. I'll put it up, see if people get a kick out of it. So this is the short version. This is how I went AWOL in a war zone, and not only was I not punished for it, but I was actually kind of rewarded for what I did, which sounds very, very counterintuitive. You don't get rewarded for going AWOL, especially AWOL in a war zone, but it happened with me. So this was my second deployment to Iraq. First one was way different than the second one. Second one, we were basically deployed as bodies, right? We were just deployed as personnel to be used and doled out. And what it was is that they'd been deploying so many guys on so many rotations that they were running low. They were having to send people home, bring people back. So all the different shops, all the different units needed bodies to fill certain roles. So they needed machine gunners, they needed Humvee drivers, they needed truck drivers, they needed maintenance guys, they needed people pretty much everywhere. So when a group of us got activated again to go back over, it wasn't as our specific jobs. Now, a few of us did get tasks. Now, I was a commo, so I was radio. It was my job to run radio communications in and outside the base. That was my specific MOS. But when we got there, we all got put, well, it was stupid how that worked out. We ferried a lot of different things. We ended up being put in the back of a cargo plane to be ferried to where we were going. And the Air Force guys acted like they were terrified of us. We had to stow all our ammo. They triple checked that our weapons weren't loaded. They took grenades from us. They made us take our knives, our combat knives, out of our sheaths and put them in our bags. They were so terrified we were going to mess up their plane. I don't know what Air Force guys have been told about Marines, but evidently the only thing they understood is that we like to smoke, drink, fudge around, and break stuff. So they treated us as kind of like a pack of wild animals as they herded us in the back of a plane. Now, I don't know how many of you think you can fit in a C-130, but it's always one more. So we get there. Once we finally get there, we all get herded into this auditorium, and we're basically doled out like piecemeal. And we didn't know this was going to happen until we got there. And a bunch of us got pissed off. And when I was tasked, I was originally tasked to go with the S4. And for those who don't know, the S1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, it just has to do with the different things they do. S4 is logistics. And logistics in a combat zone is miserable. It's all the base junk that you don't want to do, right? So cleaning latrines, filling sandbags, running supplies around, all the grunt, dirty work, not like grunt work, but just stupid work that needs to be done, burning shitters. And as a lower ranked individual, I was going to be getting the worst of the worst. So that's what I got tasked with. Now, before I get to why I went AWOL, let me back up to my first deployment. My first deployment, as we were pushing up north, one of the Humvees, because I was part of Task Force Tarawa, and I'll see if I can find a video of it, but there's a video that shows the path the Marines took up through Iraq and the Army took up through Iraq. That was 2003. The story I'm specifically talking about is 2004 or 5, but 2003, first time I was there, we were part of that main push going up north. Now, as we were going up there, my Humvee burned up, right? We're trucking, I'm flooring it. I'm like, Sergeant, something wrong with the Humvee. Like, I'm losing power here. And he's like, just stand on it. I stand on the gas, smoke starts billowing out, and the thing literally bursts into flames. So in the little bit of time that we have, I yank all the equipment out of it, all of my radio equipment. And when we get up to our northern post where we were setting up for a little bit, I had radio equipment, but I didn't have the Humvee required to actually operate that equipment. We would set up those Humvees and use them as kind of like a mobile station. So I ended up having to kind of field manual this thing into a functioning radio using scraps that I had around. A funny story about that is that I had lost the antenna. The antenna burned up with the Humvee. I grabbed out the components, but I didn't have the antenna needed for it. So I built an antenna by hand. There's actually a scene in We Were Soldiers where they come across some radio operators who had strung wire up through a tree. That's real stuff. Real radio operators do that. And I was forced to do that in the field, and I had learned properly. When I was in radio school, I paid attention, and I had a sergeant, Sergeant Cobb. Guy, oof, he was a genius when it came to radio, and I paid attention. I learned everything I could from that man. So when I got there, we set up, I field set up all my radio equipment on a table. And I remember I needed some wooden posts so I could start stringing up this antenna I was field making. And I went to an officer who was setting up a little hooch for himself and was like, sir, can I borrow your chair for just a second? I need it for something I'm working on on the roof with the antenna. Yeah, Marine, you go ahead and you take that. Good looking out. Hard charger right there. Roger that, sir. You're not gonna like it later though. So I took his chair, took up to the roof, and I smashed it. And I took the wooden pieces of the chair and I used that to fashion poles that I could mount my wire to, and I built this tremendous roof-size sloping V using MRE spoons, the spool of wire I already always kept on me, and all this other junk, so I could shoot my signal back down south to where the main base camps were. And what do you know? My antenna worked. We got comm back and were able to communicate. HF communications can shoot a pretty far distance. As you change frequencies, it depends on how the range of the radio. So HF can go a long way. If you shoot it properly, you can talk all the way across the world. You're bouncing the signal back and forth between the ground and the atmosphere. VHF, and that's the stuff that is used in direct local communications. It's clearer, it's better sound, but it doesn't travel as far. So you can't just shoot that all the way across the world. That's the stuff you see in a lot of movies, the SEALs and the like. They have the radio headsets, or they have that small little black walkie-talkie looking thing that's called a Prick 148. I use those as well, but that is very short range communications. That wasn't what I was dealing with there. Point being, in telling that whole story, is that I was very, very good at my job. I taught classes. I taught training classes. Both my brother and I taught training classes on how to properly set up communications equipment, satellite communications equipment, HF, VHF, all this other stuff, and how to field hack it if you lose some of it, because I'd been field tested. I had lost pieces and I had to rebuild it in the field so we could maintain comms. And not only did I do it, but I did it well. So bam, they knew I was good at my job. So this brings us back to 2005, Fallujah. We're there for that. And we're being tasked as just bodies. And they want me filling sandbags. And the thing about it, when I was young, I was very, very headstrong. And I had let's put it this way. You get rating, proficiency and conduct, right? Pros and cons. My pros were always top marks, 4.9, right? Like the highest you could get. A 5.0 is perfect. So I was damn near perfect when it came to doing my job. Cons is your conduct. My conduct never really got above a 3.5. That's what held me back on promotion for a little while, because I had a tendency to speak truth to power, and they didn't like that. Telling someone they're a dumbass really just got to hurt your promotion abilities. That and hitting people. First tour, they got to where they had one corporal who'd come give me orders because I hit one too many people. So I was very, very, very good at my job at doing radio stuff, and I was fine deploying to do radio. I was like, okay, I'll be a door gunner. machine gunner, uh, Humvee driver. I'm fine going there and getting stuck in and doing marine work, but I'm not fine being activated, drug halfway around the world to fill sandbags or do stupid stuff or follow Hajis around with a shitter truck as they empty the shitters. Like, no, no, I'm not going to babysit a bunch of Hajis for 8 months and call that my deployment. I just flat out refused. So they have us in this auditorium, put us in there, and they give us all our assignments. And my brother's giving me hell that, he got assigned as a turret gunner and I'm doing this stupid bull crap. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do it. So I started hanging out in the gym or the mess hall all day. So when everyone got disseminated out and was supposed to go to their sections, I didn't go. I just refused to show up. So they never knew, S4 never knew they were supposed to have me. And I would hang out and work out in the gym all day. I would go to the mess hall, have, dinner. But that also meant for the first 4 or 5 days I was in country, I had nowhere to sleep. I had never been assigned a bunk. I had never been checked in. So I'm like this loose Marine on the base and I just kind of sneak around. And I think it kind of helped that they had deployed twins together. So when they saw me kind of milling around, they didn't know if it was their twin or not. So they didn't really pay much of attention. My brother and I got away with murder when we were in the Marines. We would skate. Skate is what you call just hiding from work. For whatever reason, whenever they were, some higher ranking person would come up to us like, hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm looking for the other one. It always worked. It always worked. Oh, roger that. Carry on. Okay, cool. We would deliberately stay away from each other. That way we could use that excuse. Oh, I'm looking for the other one. And for whatever reason, it always worked. Nobody would mess with us. For some reason, trying to track down your twin was just what we did for years while we were in the Marines. God, we skated hard. But that meant that technically I was AWOL because I refused to show up and check in. I was like, no, I'm just not going to do it. I would hang around the radio hooch, which is where all the comm people had been assigned. And I kept trying to make myself useful. I was like, right, let me help out. Hey, Sergeant, what can I do for you? Can I work on this? Well, come to find out, they had deployed this comm company and they didn't have anyone who understood the satellite communications. It was a Prick 117. I happened to be very good with satellite communications and I understood how it worked, how to set up the antenna, how to find the satellite. And the basic gist is depending on your priority, when you shoot that signal up, we had some really, really, really cool stuff. The signal would go up to the satellite, but sorry, kids yelling in the background. So as the signal would go up, it was one signal, but multiple people could use it. So basically the signal would be chopped up into pieces. And as you're transmitting your message, like using the radio, you would have a piece of that signal and someone else would have a piece of it. And someone else would have a piece of it. But it was so fast in the way that it's sending a signal. You're getting steady communication. They're getting steady communication. But they could assign priorities so that if someone with a higher priority need was trying to transmit, they would take up more of the bandwidth and they could kick other people off. This stuff is very technical and you had to know how to operate this thing. So when I found out that they had no one who understood, the sergeant didn't know how to use it. The staff sergeant had just come off the drill field. He didn't know how to use it. The lieutenant didn't know how to use it. And they find out this dumb lance corporal, hey, sergeant, I know how to take care of that problem. I know how to do that. I can teach them courses. I can get you guys spun up. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, technically I'm assigned to S4, but I don't really want to be doing that. And they're like, let us pull some strings here. Let's see what we can do. But I proved that I knew what I was talking about. I pulled out the radio. I showed them the basics. I was like, this is DAMA. This is the type of signal. This is the antenna. You got to set it up this way. This is how you can track your strength and blah, 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 blah. So once they knew I knew what I was talking about, the sergeant goes to the staff sergeant and says, hey, I got this guy, blah, 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 but he's over at S4. And the staff sergeant goes to lieutenant. Lieutenant's like, okay, well, I'll go talk to that chief warrant officer, because S4 is being run by this chief warrant officer. And he's like, hey, you got this guy that we could actually use. He's part of one of the new group that just came in. Could we trade you one of the new guys we got? Because radio had gotten a handful of people too, for him, because he understands how to use this equipment. And they tell him the name, and he's like, who are you talking about? Because I didn't tell him I had showed up. I was like, yeah, I'm over there. And he had no clue who I was, never seen me, I never went there, right? I was sleeping in the corner of the friggin' gym, right? My stuff was like hidden. My backpack, my sea bags and everything, I had tucked it away and just tried to blend in. So when they're going to this chief warrant officer and saying, hey, we want this guy, he's like, I've never seen him. I mean, you can have him, but I don't, okay, yeah, we'll take one of yours. And they end up trading one of the guys they got for me. So I went over and worked at radio. I still feel bad because I remember the guy's name, and I'm not going to say it just in case he doesn't want me named publicly. And I felt bad that he got yanked out of radio. He got put over there at S4. I got blown up. So in a way, I think karma was kind of like, bad Gimpy. You shouldn't have been doing that. But I ended up getting switched over there. And funny enough, the staff sergeant got to where he figured out what was going on, because what was happening is he was going to the sergeant asking questions about this or this or this, like radio based questions. And the sergeant would come to me and ask his questions, and then he would go back and tell the staff sergeant. But the staff sergeant was paying attention, and he noticed the sergeant was like, yeah, let me go check on that for you. I'll get an answer for you. And then he'd see him disappear for a little bit. And I guess he was watching and saw that he would come talk to me. So the staff sergeant had come up to me. This was later on, a few months down the road, and was asking me questions about some of the equipment. And the sergeant's like, hey, staff sergeant, I'm the platoon sergeant. Why aren't you asking me these questions? And he's like, well, you're just going to turn around and ask him. So why am I just not going to cut out the middleman? Sergeant turns and he just walks off. To be fair, though, the sergeants we had were garbage, absolute garbage. They were lazy. They never did anything. They would sit around and watch TV on their little portable DVD things, work out, go to the mess hall. They never ran any missions. They just kind of doled out the assignments. And then this was the most chill deployment they ever had. The Lance Corporals were running everything. They were the ones who were running all the missions while we were out there. But we had a few instances where some of these guys, and I had mentioned this story before, some of these guys didn't know exactly what they're doing. They were a little too timid. Not really guys you wanted out there when they were doing patrols, because anytime a patrol went out, radio guy had to go with it. Basically, you took the telephone man with you everywhere you went. Part of the reason was one of the things I was issued and always kept with me was a satellite phone. So I could make a call if I had to anywhere on the planet. And that was just a last ditch effort. If the equipment's burned down, radio's blown out, antennas are destroyed, or whatever, and all my commo's done, I still have a satellite phone. I've got some emergency numbers I can call that will get me back in touch with base and get us quick react if we needed it. But that also made me very popular, because anytime we would go out, the guys who are wanting to call home would be like, hey, can I use that? I actually had a lieutenant who came up to me one time and was like, can I borrow the phone? Because technically the phone's assigned to me. It's not assigned to anyone else. And I'm supposed to guard it and not allow this. And the lieutenant's like, do you mind if I just hold that for a minute? And I'm like, as long as I don't have to pull any watches. And he's like, that's a deal. I was like, all right, if you get caught, you didn't get it from me. The guys would get to call home and, talk to their loved ones, all that good stuff. But my brother, still this day, gives me crap about how I was able, only we could get away with something that stupid, to just blatantly go AWOL. Like, I get yanked all the way to the sandbox, get put in this position, and just flat out refuse and tell the Marine Corps, no, I'm not going. I'm not showing up. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to follow around. And I felt bad because the guy that replaced me did end up doing that. I saw him on base a few times, and he's walking along with his rifle, following the Hajis as they're emptying garbage and shitters all around the base. And I get it. Someone has to do that job, but that's not what I trained for. Like, I don't mind if you want to deploy me to do a good thing out there, right? If you want me to hook and jab and fight for the country, cool, roger that, let's go. Or if you want me to do the job that I'm specifically trained for and damn good at, I mean, patting myself on the back, I was really good at my job. Like 4.9 proficiency, but I was very bad at my conduct. Definitely reflected it. If they had caught me and figured out what I was doing, I would have been court-martialed into the freaking ground. The guys, like, we all laughed about it later, like, how the hell did you get away? It was almost a week. It was just under a week that I just skated around the base. Didn't talk to people. The only people I talked to were the radio people. And since they had just gotten that influx of new people, they kind of just associated me with it. And I wasn't on the roster, so I wasn't getting assignments or anything, but I was being helpful and being useful. So they didn't really just pay much attention. I told you, these sergeants were shit. They just didn't care. As long as they doled out the assignments, they were good. They noticed a new face. But how do you not know that one of the guys there is not on your platoon roster? And how does this chief warrant officer not realize that one of the guys that you're supposed to have isn't there, and isn't there for like a week? He never did shit about it. That chief warrant officer was evidently known as a hard ass. And some of the guys had pictures of this. Wish I could find it. I think I took a picture of it, but I couldn't find it in my photo album. But right outside of the S4 hooch, they had a big pit, huge pit, so deep that they had ladders coming out of it, where he made them fill sandbags. If they ever had some time where they were just down and didn't have something to do, he had them in the pit filling sandbags. By the time they were done, they were almost down far enough to be digging up water. They had dug it so far. I mean, the guys, like, they showed it. I saw this damn pit so deep that you could have two guys standing on it, one standing in the bottom, one standing on their shoulders up. I mean, the huge, wide thing he had just dug. Stupid idea, because that was just a accident waiting to happen. If someone comes walking through at night, doesn't know there's a huge pit there, and falls into their grave. The chief warrant officer thought it was just the neatest thing that he had them dig this huge pit filling sandbags. You're an asshole. They're already getting deployed. They're already away from their families. It's fine. You never have enough sandbags while you're deployed. I get that. And they break down and they need to be replaced and all this other junk. But downtime was not a word that the S4 shop guys ever got to hear. Right? The MP blot, they would get downtime. Radio guys, we would get downtime. S4 guys never got downtime. And yeah, I can tell the story now because I think I'm past the statute of limitations. I don't think they would do anything on it now. I mean, we're damn near 20 years past. But I mean, going AWOL in a war zone, shit. The people laughed at it. They're like, only one of you idiots, me and my brother, could have got away with something like that. And I think it really helped us, just the fact that there were two identical faces running around the base, and the command could never quite be sure, like, is that one mine? Is that the one? I'm just gonna err on the side of caution and assume it's not. The amount of shit we got away with, it boggles the mind. I mean, at one point we had the Navy inspector, the NCIS guys, I think they're called, the basically Navy version of like cops. They police the military. They were scouting for us at nighttime with MVGs, trying to find our secret gambling ring because we were all playing poker. And since we had nothing to spend our money on, we were playing poker for real money, and lots of it. I won enough money playing poker while I was deployed that all my cigarettes and all my junk and souvenirs, anything I bought on base, was all paid for by gambling winnings. My folks always tell me, they're like, stop gambling. You're going to get yourself in trouble. And we did get ourselves in trouble when we caught a captain. Yeah, because we let higher ranking people in. So we always stressed it. Rank stays at the door. Like, if you're a sir, you're a sir outside. You're not a sir in here. Everybody go by first name, kept it real hush hush. But we caught a captain base stealing that one time, and he almost got his ass beat over that one. Like, just because you're an officer doesn't mean we won't break some of your bones for trying to cheat us out of our money. But that one, he ended up getting to go free because it wasn't going to be our careers that got destroyed if he got caught cheating the lower ranking enlisted members for their money. That was going to be his career, and he would have been done. So we were pretty much able to be like, get out. No, leave your money on the table. You just get out. You don't say anything, we won't say anything. And we didn't. I've got one more story. It's a really bad story. Really bad story. Well, I've got plenty of stories, but I got one really, really bad one. And I've debated on putting this one up. I'll have to think long and hard on that one because it's more of a felony level than what I did going AWOL. And it's not something I did. This is something someone else did that we were just kind of involved with. But I still don't know that I want to put that one to video. I'll have to think about that one. All right, you guys put down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Going AWOL in the middle of a war zone. I always get a kick out of that anytime I think back to those days. All right, that's going to be it for me. You guys take care. I'll catch you in the next one.